What's up guys, PJ here from 3D Printing Canada. Today in front of me I have the Maker Pi P3 Pro. We're gonna unbox and build this for you today. All right, so now that I've unboxed the whole printer here, we have all the parts lying out in front of us. I'll just show you a couple of the features it comes with here. This is an IDEX machine. Okay, so that means it prints with two heads for water-soluble supports like PVA and stuff like that. It also comes with a nice 300-degree high-temperature hot end, as well as the 250 high-temperature or 250 hot ends, as well as it comes with a laser. 500-watt laser, okay? And then we have like a 2-in-1 mixing extruder. So it's actually got ports for two filaments to come in, and then they come into the hot end down here, mix together, and you can mix the colors. And then we have our Z and X gantry included with linear rail, as well as it looks like it's pretty easy to interchange your heads here, which seems pretty nice. I do kind of like that. Of course, it's dual Z. Moving forward, we have our spool holders here. We have the wiper spots, and I kind of like this because I'm so used to wire brush. I'm very curious to see what's gonna happen with these rubber pads. So you're probably gonna have to make sure they're installed properly and sitting properly, that the nozzle will wipe. Okay, and there we have another box here I haven't looked at yet. So we'll take a quick peek at this. So inside they give you a little bit of filament here, two different colors. It's like a USB cable to hook it up to your printer. Also a decent scraper, I really like that scraper. USB stick. Doesn't look like much hardware to put this printer together. I like that. I like it when they keep it nice and simple for you. A nice set of flush cutters. Actually, we use these in the shop all the time. Looks like some decent Allen wrenches. Can't go wrong there when you get decent ones. And a little Maker Pi after sales card. Okay, so that's what's in that box. They also give you a few zip ties to zip tie everything together here. So that's nice. And we'll open up this last box here and see what's inside. All right, so here's where all the good stuff is. You've got to connect your heads. It looks like they have a filament runout sensor attached to your first cable. For the second head, again, with a filament runout sensor, which is nice, you're gonna want that. It looks like we've got a pretty heavy duty power cable inside this box as well. Okay, so there's the unboxing of the 3D printer. Next, I'm gonna start assembling. All right, so the first step we're gonna take is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna attach our gantry to our base plate. Very simple. You're gonna take the 4 longest screws in the kit, along with the biggest Allen wrench. We're gonna go ahead and we will just pick it up. Now be careful, make sure none of the wiring is gonna get pinched when you do this, because they do have them taped down with some like hockey tape here. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that hockey tape back so it doesn't get squished by the motor. Okay, and we'll go ahead, and now what I'm gonna have to do, and I always do this for these style printers, when they screw in this way, or enders, anything like that, once I get it in place, I'm just gonna take this and hang the one side off the table. So just be careful guys, because we definitely don't want to damage anything. Just go ahead and install these screws. Okay, now don't over tighten these, because we don't want to pull the gantry left to right in any weird direction. So I just snug them up. Now I get them tight enough that it's not going to have your axis wobbling, but we don't want to have these tilting while tightening, because it is only 2 screws that hold the extrusion down. So just keep that in mind when you're tightening these. It looks like they made a little bit of a plate there to kind of keep it level as well. So now I'll switch over to the other side here. Take the other 2 long screws that are provided in the kit. Just kind of hang the printer off the side of the desk. Be careful you don't drop it on yourself. You want to take it easy when you're sliding that screw up in there too, because you don't want to drop it or have it fall inside the case and then you got to open up the bottom or anything like that. So just take your time. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and we're going to install the 2 print heads. I'm going to use the 250, the common one with the auto bed leveler, as well as, because we print a lot of flexibles here in the shop, we'll go ahead and we'll put the 250 flexible head on as well. Pretty straightforward, easy to swap out these heads, guys. So with the provided hardware, we'll go ahead and take our M3 screws that come in the kit. Go ahead and it just pops on there nice and easy like that. Install our screws, they're just in the back here, guys. What I will do is I'll install this head and then I'll show you guys on the second head from behind, but it's really straightforward. It's just 4 screws. Really not much to assembling this printer and swapping out the heads. It's nice, it's only 4 screws, which to me seems like a pretty quick change out. Definitely can't go wrong with that. Slide over the other print head piece. Literally just pops into place. Go ahead and get that first screw started. Okay. All right, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install the wiper for the nozzle. So that just goes right here, and they leave you enough room to kind of move it up and down a little, so don't tighten it right down. Again, just kind of snug it in there a little bit. So now we'll double check that it's going to wipe it off. So go ahead and repeat that step on the other side. We're just going to install the filament holders on the top, which is really easy. It's just got T-nuts that are actually pre-installed on there. I always like to just make sure I loosen that T-nut all the way almost to where it's about to fall off. That way it'll spin well inside of here. So we'll go ahead and we'll mount those. You just want to make sure that T-nut's spun around inside. And then we'll go ahead and we'll take these spool holders and they just simply thread in like so. And take number 2 here and installer. And that's our spool holders installed. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug in all of our cables. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and we're going to take and plug in all our connections. So we'll start with the Z motors. They're just coming out of the side of the printer here. Simply plug in your motor. Make sure you plug it in the right way. We don't want to reverse the motor plugs at all. Then you're going to go ahead and take your Z limit switch. It's an optical sensor and you're going to go ahead and plug that in. Next, we're going to plug in our X motor. Again, making sure we plug it in the right way, as well as our X end stop. And we're gonna do the same procedure on the other side. But before we do that, right here in the back under the bed, there's one switch, really easy to deal with. It's almost self-explanatory because it's right where your bed end stop is. Now I'm actually gonna take and reuse that tape to keep that wire from popping up and getting caught in the bed or anything. And then we'll just go ahead on the opposite side. All right guys, so next we're gonna go ahead and we're going to take our connections for our hot ends and install them into the printer. Now they do come with a filament runout sensor, which I do recommend that you take a secondary zip tie, probably zip tie it to this cable. I mean, all it is a filament runout sensor. The filament's just gonna travel through it. So we'll do that later on in the video as we button everything up. So we'll just go ahead and take and plug that E1. Now E1 has more pins. The reason E1 has more pins is because it's got an optical bed leveler. So next you want to take that cable and run it over the top of the printer and simply install it into the E1 port on the back here, making sure you have it flipped the right way, of course. Okay, and make sure you secure them. Plug in your filament runout sensor, and remember that's facing the back. And then you go ahead and you will repeat this process on the other side. Okay, and we're back. So the next step we're gonna take, we need to make sure the bed's level, and we're gonna level both heads to the bed correctly. On an IDEX machine, this is extremely important. So this is my first time with this printer. We're gonna fire it up. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna make sure we have both heads level to the bed correctly. What we're gonna wanna do is make sure the bed is actually level correctly first. So we'll see how well this held up through transit. Go ahead and auto home. Now that we're auto homed, I'm gonna go ahead and disable the steppers. Okay, and then what I like to do is just take E1 here, move it around to the bed, leveling springs. Now in this case, they didn't give you any knobs, so you might wanna print yourself some knobs for leveling. It looks like you have to use a wrench. Okay, the provided wrench. I'll just take the piece of paper. Also, before we do that, let's heat up the bed. Now that we've got our build surface all preheated, ready for bed leveling, we're gonna go ahead. We'll pull the bed up and pull the print head out. Now, we're just gonna manually level the bed to all the corners. So that's too loose. So we will tighten it down. I will say, not having bed knobs to level the bed, this is pretty annoying. Definitely not a fan of this. Not being able to just screw a knob by hand, having to get a wrench under there, I'm definitely not happy about that one. So after you've went around and leveled the bed, and again, without the knobs being there, it's just a bolt. You might actually have to lift up like I did, take an Allen wrench, poke through your magnet like I had to, and actually hold it in place to do the leveling. You could go ahead and just find something that'll fit this nut on Thingiverse, put yourself some bed knobs on there, help you with the bed leveling procedure. So now that I've got it nice and level all the way around, even though it has auto bed leveling, now what we want to do is make sure that each nozzle tip is actually at the same height on the bed. Now, the way you're gonna do that is, okay, so we will move E1 into the middle of the bed. We'll do it in the middle of the bed. You know, we'll put our paper under. It's just grabbing, just a little bit of space under it. So then what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna remove the metal shroud here. And as I can see from what I'm looking at here, so what we'll do is we'll do this. We'll measure it right on the E. So on the maker pi sign, we'll do it right at the E where the middle line meets the curve. So we'll go ahead and the first one I did there. Now the second one, I'll move into the same position. Just double check with the paper to see. Now this one's actually a little bit tighter. Let's double check. We'll move that over. We'll move the other head to the E in the same position. And it's a little loose. So what I'm actually going to do here is this one's, the E2 is perfect. So I'm going to take the E1 now. All you got to do is there's 2 screws right on the back here. We're going to take those out. So take out screw 1. So now that we've got both of those screws out, we'll go ahead and we'll carefully, and always be careful when you're removing things like this. You can grab the sides here, flex them out a little. You don't want to snag any wires. Okay, here's the first nice thing I actually see that I don't mind. I don't mind breakout boards. I'm not a fan of having the connector like this with the screw downs and everything. That's a lot of weight, potentially break, right? So it looks like it's just soldered into the board here. So you definitely want to be careful when working in this section. I've never really been a fan of the VGA style cables for a print head, but nevertheless they work. I do like being able to quickly change out any of these on the fly. So what I've just noticed, I can't actually adjust print head 1. E2 is actually the only adjustable one. So you guys are learning with me as I do this anyways. So we'll go ahead and we'll reinstall this one. Now, when reinstalling this, you definitely want to be careful not to hit the breakout board or pinch any of the wires in there. So I'll go ahead and I'll reinstall this one. It also gave us a chance to take a look at the print head and what's going on in there. Now guys, I've never seen this printer before. This is my first day with it. So it's all new to me as well. All right, so we'll move E1 out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in E2. Again, same process. We'll go ahead and pop out these 2 screws on the back that hold on the fan shroud. So now that we actually have the fan shroud off, there's 2 screws in the front here. You just go ahead and, now you don't take them right out, you just loosen them so you have enough room for the print head to move up and down. Now the cool part about this, we'll see what size is, and I'll let you guys know. So on the back, there's a 10 mil bolt on the back of here. So just in behind the hot end, you see the hot end's here, and just in behind, right up here, you can't miss it. It'll be a little difficult for us to get our cameras in there to show you, but if you just look up from the hot end, you'll see a little spring attached to a nut. So we'll just give that a bit of a tighten to move this up and down. So it's actually the 10 mil wrench you're gonna use. I'm actually gonna move the paper out of the way and watch which way this is going here. So I'm actually gonna lift it up to where it's, say, a little too high. And then what I'll do, just to make sure everything's good, I will bring over my second print head, double check the distance. So we'll go on the E again, move that bed in place. That's perfect. Once you got both of your print heads at the same level, what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and retighten these down. That way the print head doesn't move. So you go ahead and retighten those down. And you want to go ahead and reinstall the fan shroud. Again, being careful not to catch or pinch any of the wires. So if you do have to pull on the side of the fan shroud, maybe to line it up a little bit there, make sure you do so. Once you have it on, we'll go ahead and take our Allen wrench, reinstall the 2 back screws. Okay, so now we've got both of our print heads leveled. You can check your belt tensions. This one seems a little loose, so I'll go ahead with the little belt tensioner here and a little more tension on that belt. I'm not going to over tighten it, but I want to make sure. Bottom one's good, top one needs to be a little bit tighter. You want that a good bass note to come out of it. It's good. So they both have a good sound coming out of those belts. Just double check the tension. Now you don't want things to be over tight on your bed as well. Looks like we're good so far. So now what we'll do is we will go into prepare. So I'll show you again here. We'll go into prepare. Now we want to do, let's auto home it. So it has optical end stops. And now the auto bed leveler is not a BL touch, it's not an inductive probe. So now that that's done, we will go ahead, go back, go into settings. Now we want to go into ABL. Okay guys, because this is my first time with this printer, I made a little bit of a mistake there. The machine told me to take off the build plate, but it actually wouldn't do bed leveling without the build plate on. So definitely leave your build plate on. It kept erroring and coming back to the middle of the bed and then starting over. Now it's actually doing the probe on the bed. So it's gonna make its way around, I can only assume. I could be wrong. Does seem like it's probing the bed in different places now, so. Definitely a very slow procedure. When you get used to using a BL touch and being able to speed up the movements in the firmware, it takes less than 15 seconds to probe most beds with a BL touch if you have it set up in the software to move quicker. So this ABL is definitely taking some time, and it is doing what it should now for sure. We have it moving around the bed now. It's definitely doing it in a different manner than I'm used to, but we'll see how it goes. So after it's done the bed leveling procedure, mine kept glitching without the top on. It would just keep going towards the center and not going to any of the points. So I don't know if that's a bug with our printer or what. I had to have the build surface on for it to register it. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna set our Z level offset, which is very easily adjustable through the Z min initialize. So we're gonna go ahead and press that. All E1 style extruders come equipped with the leveling sensor. So whenever switching heads, you're probably gonna need to go back through reinitialize a bed level feature and then redo your Z level offset again if you do switch out E1 style heads. And bear in mind, you might need to go through the procedure again of making sure both tips are level to the bed again like we did in the previous step. So now we're moving, it's just gonna move to the front left corner to do this. Remember, bed leveling, auto bed leveling, it doesn't matter where it is. It's gonna adjust that Z level for your first layer. So now we're actually extremely high up. So I'm actually gonna start bringing the Z offset into the negative. I'm not gonna mess with the X and Y offsets unless it comes to that, but we haven't got to that procedure yet, so we'll find out here. Okay, so you actually have to hit move. So you want to definitely do this slowly because if I let that, it's going to hit the bed. So what I'll do is I'll put it to 0, move and see what happens. Okay, so at 0, I'm really close. Now I'm going to go fractions at a time. Move it. Then I'll put the paper on as I do this, move it. We're just gonna go a little bit at a time. I think I'll go to -1 actually. I see maybe 2 millimeters of difference, so Still not, so I'll go 1.5, and this is going into the negative, and you actually do have to hit move. Okay, so now I'm too tight, I'll back it off. Go 1.3, hit move. Paper's still stuck, it's not moving the way it should be. Go a little higher, hit move again. Now the paper's just grabbing. So that's perfect right there. Now we will hit OK. I'm assuming that's going to store our offset. This printer definitely does move a lot slower than more of your today's style printers. It definitely moves a lot slower. So you have option for print area and stuff like that here, and the E2 offsets and stuff. Now I can only assume that the company has actually done this from the factory. We're gonna test that without touching anything. If we run into the problem, we'll show you how to correct it. But for now, we're gonna leave things stock to show you if right out of the box, there's not much to do. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm just gonna go to the manual and take a little more of a look to see what else we have to do here. Okay guys, now that we've got the printer all set up and our first layer calibrated and ready to go, I'm gonna take this downstairs. I'm gonna run the test prints to make sure E1 and E2 are lined up correctly so you don't end up with bleeding into your print. It's very important on an IDEX, but they have made it actually easy. This is one feature I've just noticed in there where you can adjust your offset slightly in the screen, where normally we were doing things like that through Pronterface. Not every printer had that feature. So that is one positive point so far. Let's find out how it prints. They're all multiple heads, so we're gonna start off basic and just use their standard heads, but then I'm definitely gonna play with the other heads, and we'll probably bring you another video on those individually, because there is quite a bit of work to do still with those and figure it out. There's a laser, color mixer, they have a flexible head, so we'll go ahead and we'll install those in a later video. So we'll see you when I'm done with the prints. Okay guys, so before we talk about the test print that's finished here, let's talk about some of the different head options we have on this printer. Okay, so one of the first ones is you've got a color mixer where you can put two colors in and it comes out as one. So we also have that as well. Then there's this cool little laser for laser engraving. So we'll be testing this one as well. On the printer right now, we have the flexible head on there because I didn't want to have to change heads. You can use this for printing PLA, but I'm sure it has a 0 space gap so your TPUs don't get jammed up in there. So I put that on, that way when we test it, it's a lot easier. Then your standard E2 head here, which is just a standard printing for PLA. It goes up to 250. And then last but not least, we also have the high temperature one, which can go up to 300C. So we'll be testing that with some nylon and stuff like that. So we'll be bringing that to you guys really soon. Okay guys, and we're back now. So what I did is one of the test prints that they had on the card for dual color mode. Okay, what we've got here is a little rabbit. The printer, if I am gonna point out a few things here, the printer itself prints extremely slow. Moving in between the heads also is very slow. This print probably took about 28 hours, which is very slow. Now I do understand IDEXs have to move a little slower and it will take longer due to the color changes and stuff, but it definitely took quite some time. With that being said, I'm not too sure what's going on in these ears here. We'll get Jaron to zoom in closely so you can pick it up now. It's not consistent on both sides, so I don't know if this is a problem with the printer or if this is just in the design. It's hard to say, but to me it looks like it's possibly the printer, because I also see a consistent banding running through the print as well. So maybe I'll have to take a look at things a little bit better, but I definitely see some Z banding going on, as well as the problem in the ears. With that being said, guys, I haven't fully got a chance to 100% test everything. We will be bringing you guys a second video to show you the color mixing head. I did start with the E2 on the flexible head here, so we could test some flexibles because it'll also print PLA as well. Then we have here the high temperature, up to 300C nozzles, so you're good for doing any of those polycarbonates that might take 280 or nylons and things like that. And as well as we've got the standard laser it comes with. So I'll also do a little video on all these different heads. And then just your regular E2 head as well. With that being said, guys, I'm not overly impressed with this printer. It is quiet, so it definitely has some silent steppers in there. But the overall performance, just off of a first print, the quality, if that's a Z banding it got really bad throughout the ears, definitely not super impressed, but I will be talking to the manufacturer as well as trying some own tweaks with my own slices. So we will bring those to you in a further video. But with that being said, you know, I'm definitely not over impressed with this printer or anything. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us. Don't forget in the comment section, if you guys want to see future videos or something cool you have in mind, leave comments down there to give us some new ideas. Thank you. See you in the next one.